What is up, everybody? My name is Vaibhav. I commonly go by V. I run a multi-million-dollar agency and I've had a failed startup already, but one that's also doing well. And that is a topic of discussion today. We are going to be talking about the process behind generating very successful ideas. This comes from obviously people that we worked with and my own experience as well. Before we jump into the process, here's my quick backstory. So yes, I do run very profitable agency that spans across the world. We've got very successful clients that do really good for themselves, right? On the other side, like anyone else who runs an agency, they also want to build their own products. I built my startup called laddr. If I were to exactly break down the right number, I think I lost over $264,000 in that entire spiel. So that's a lot of money, $250,000 or more essentially lost in building a product that didn't even take off, right? We had a couple of customers, but that's about it. And what you end up learning with that process is all the things that can go wrong, that actually go wrong when you're building a startup. Let's face it, 80% of startups fail within the first year. Another 90% of them actually crash in the first 5 years. So what can you do to prevent that from happening? It's a very complex situation and there's a lot of things that can go in, but what you can do is do things to prevent that from happening as much as you can. That's what this series is going to be about, and this video is going to be about, is going through A, what actually goes into the process of building an idea. B, what you can do to minimize the fault of failure. C, what we can actually do and look at examples of other startups that have done really well and what you can learn from them. And also we'll go a little further into the story of laddr and now a much more successful, I don't want to say successful, but much more engaged product that we're building called Flowyse, and the things that we have learned just in the short time span of 10 months of why Flowyse is doing so well compared to laddr, and what we can do and what you can do to prevent that sales from happening to you. Just like you 6 years ago, someone who was just scraping for ideas, looking for inspiration to build a very exciting product and that next billion dollar business, right? And unlike Mark Zuckerberg, I didn't have twins to screw over and steal ideas from. Only twins I knew were just really good friends. So without jumping too far into that wormhole, let's talk about what you can actually do. Ideas can be inspired or induced, and what I mean by that is you can actually have that aha moment in the shower, like I said, depending on what you're doing to yourself, or you can actually have a process behind building an idea, and not just an idea but a business that is successful. I'm still very confident in when I say that ideas don't make businesses. Ideas and execution make businesses, but ideas do have some sort of effect. You need to consider timing, you need to consider execution, you need to consider preparation and team in building a successful startup. I do want to mention before we jump into this entire thing, make sure that the idea that you actually are going to invest your time into is something you're passionate about, not just an idea because it's cool and it sounds exciting, because trust me, it's going to get very gnarly very soon, and everyone's going to attest to this that's watching this video. Make sure that when you are going ahead and doing a product or idea, there's something you really deeply do care about. Because imagine being stuck to something for 8 years, because that's just what successful startups do. They take 8 to 10 years to build, doing something you generally don't love. You might as well just do a job where you can quit, right? The first and the easiest thing you can do with this process of idea generation that we started to talk about is it's actually very methodical. Come up with 10 problems. Don't come up with them, actually. Look for 10 problems that you are personally facing every single day. Then write down 10 wish lists, 10 things that you wish existed to alleviate this problem. Don't do this for one day. Immediately, right now, pause this video, write down 10 things, and then click start again. If you've got those 10 things ready, you're going to do this every single day for the next 4 days. Just 4. It's not too long. If you're doing this on a Monday, all the way till Thursday. And what's going to happen if you dedicatedly follow this for just 4 days, you're going to have 40 problems. It's a gold mine right there. You've got 40 problems and 40 wish lists that you pretty much found out. And trust me, finding problems is the best thing you can do. You don't realize this now, but I wish there were more problems that I actually knew to solve. Okay, so the next important thing you need to ask yourself is, out of these 40 problems, which ones A, are you super passionate about, that like really grinds you when you're facing this, and B, is this a problem that you're paying a lot of money for? Because remember, startups are great and all this stuff is great, but if ideas don't make money, then it's eventually a time ticking bomb. Find out of these ideas, A, one you're passionate about, and B, you're paying a lot of money for right now. Because if you're paying money for a problem, that itself is some level of validation, right? Because you're going to get people to just pay you a little less, but you're going to do it at scale. That's the easiest way. Literally just observing problems that you have in your own life over the next 4 days, you can come up with a problem that you are facing and maybe people around you are facing That is costing you money right now, so you can actually build a product around revenue. Second most important thing, or the second other way you can approach this, is essentially to go ahead and stalk people. No, don't do that. It's to stalk other communities and online groups to find other products or startups that are essentially existing but have a lot of customers that are angry or just not happy. Most common thing is you see this happen in e-commerce a lot, or those indie startups that you have, those tiny startups that have just built up and maybe someone's flipped it for a few $1 million. All they've essentially done is they've gone ahead and looked for startups or business that exists in the market, literally gone onto their Facebook or their Quora or any of the public forums and seen the common problems people have faced there, and nothing but address those, right? Ideas don't need to be revolutionary, they can be adaptive, and they can be incremental growths of something that already exists in the market. It saves you a lot of time because you're literally solving the problem. And remember, the most important thing about this process is keep track of those people who have actually gone ahead and complained about it, because they will most likely be your first customer. And it's again foolproof validation, because if those people who complained actively about this product you're trying to replace don't want to use your own idea, save yourself some time and don't go down that path. Sweet. The third one, which I really like, is a great one. It's the Copypasta method, right? Take an existing startup that does really well in a different region that you're not aware of, and then literally just drop it in your area. I'll give you a good example. If you're based in Australia, you've definitely heard of a company called Afterpay, right? Everyone loves it. Their IPO, they're upwards in the billions of dollars. I knew of the Afterpay concept back in Dubai, where I used to live there, in 2007. That was 12 years ago. That concept existed. All they did was took that concept, the idea, bring it over here and launch it. There's so many successful startups I can mention that either in America or in Asia that are literally one-to-one rip-offs of each other. I like to call Telegram, if you've seen that, if you ever follow the crypto space, a blue WhatsApp. That's all it is. It's essentially a blue WhatsApp, but it's got encryption attached to it, right? Problem, solution. That's all you have to do. Other ideas that we can think about. If you're based in Australia, you've definitely heard of Koala mattresses. Mattress in a box company that essentially give you a mattress in a box, right? They, to a larger extent, are a pretty much one-to-one copy of a very successful startup in America that's worth over $1 billion called Casper. We can say the same thing about Uber and all the companies, even though they claim they're not Uber's repetition. You got Ola, you got Didi, you've got Bolt, you've got all these startups that are very similar to Uber. Yes, you need to understand that again, the concept of idea changes here, where their idea is not let's go ahead and press an app button to get a taxi, but let's take what has failed or the inefficiencies of those other startups and actually bring the solution there. So the idea is the execution. Get that? So it's not actually just the concept no more, but it's actually the execution. And that's where you start getting really, really interesting solutions and problems, because you're no longer fighting for validation. You're trying to find out cool new ways of solving inefficiencies. And before we jump into that story that I'm going to talk to you about laddr, I want to mention something Naval Ravikant says, who's the founder of AngelList, is in the end, if you really want to achieve mass wealth, money in your bank account, all you have to do is offer customers what they have always wanted but find hard to get at scale. Think about it, right? Every time you've used a product or an app or something, it's just something you've always wanted to use anyway, but you just didn't know how to find access to it, but someone just offered you an easy way to find it. Canva is a great example. I did not know where to find designers. They just said, hey, look, nice and easy way for you to build nice and fancy designs. And as of today's, at least this video is recording, they're now worth $4.2 billion. So well done to Melanie if you're watching this. So now on to the story that I mentioned before about laddr. For those who are aware, laddr is still an existing company. You can go to laddr.com or laddr.ai and you still access it. The goal of laddr was to see how we can solve the problem for hiring software engineers. And I don't want to bore you with that, but it was a great problem, massive market, everyone was trying to solve it. Why did it not work out? Even if the idea was great, why didn't it work out? Well, there's a lot of reasons behind this, but one of the main things was because of poor execution, right? We got too excited behind the idea that we didn't exactly come with the process of the correct execution methodologies. And again, this is what we've learned, is ideas sometimes are the execution itself, not just ideas of something cool and fancy. And that's pretty much what caused me to go ahead and let go of a team that I built myself, hired from day one, I didn't take any external money. I started my company with $500 and I hired every single individual, and I had to let go of pretty much majority of them only to rehire a few people down the road again. That entire experience could have easily been prevented if I actually came up with that process and I didn't act on emotion in business, and I instead acted on logic, because whether you like it or not, business is logic and process. It's not emotion. That's just how it is. You need to accept it. We've ended up, giving up software engineers, designers, UX, everyone that we had, and we've built this beautiful culture around everyone that I got on board. I had to let go one by one by one. I remember that day. It was not a fun day. But you bounce yourself back up, and we started building up Flowyse. And that comes back to, again, process and idea discovery. I was like, wait, why did that fail? One of the reasons it failed was because even though I knew my accounting and I knew my finance, I did not have easy access to exactly what was happening with the transparency of numbers. So first thing I did was I went and asked a few other founders. I'm like, hey, is this something that you're facing? Is this a problem that you're experiencing right now? Are you scared that you're going to run out of money or cash was a problem? They all said yes. I said, wait, I looked on, are there tools in the market that already solve this? It seemed like a very obvious idea, and they're like, yeah, there are a few tools, but then why are you still facing this problem? And then that's when I understood that these are the 10 things each customer was facing, and we built the product around the problems customers are facing. Again, ideas is in the process of finding something that doesn't work and fixing it immediately versus coming up with a whole new concept of solving problems. And guess what? The turnaround has been ridiculously different. We've got hundreds, if not more, of people signed up to the product. We've got people using the app already. We've got paying customers already within the application. And it's just been a couple of months. It's not three months or 3 to 4 months compared to laddr, which even after 10 to 11 months, we had not a single dollar actually come in fruition, so to speak, about it. If you reflect on this, it's essentially seeing what doesn't work, finding problems, asking a few people, asking if they will actually pay for this, and what is it actually costing them right now. We've actually had a customer pay us money to build a feature for them because that's how desperate they were to use the solution that we're offering. So those are the things you need to look for. What is on the line for your customers if you didn't exist? And I know this is not your first YouTube rodeo, so we've got a lot of exciting videos coming up. I'm going to share a lot of the things that I've gone through and done to build really, really successful startups in Australia for other people, and now Flowyse for myself, as well as my agency 521. So if you've come this far and you really like this video, make sure you click on that subscribe button and click on that little notification bell so that you get notified for the next video, because we've got a lot of exciting content coming out, really raw, hard truths behind building some of the most successful startups in Australia and in the world, as well as building my own agency to an X amount of people right now, and Flowyse, which is doing really, really well. I mean, can always do better. So one thing I do want to ask before we carry on is, what are the things that you're struggling with? Because you're obviously watching this video knowing you're trying to find a solution. So leave a comment below on some of the things that maybe we can help answer and I can particularly solve for you if possible. Awesome. So thanks for listening, and I will catch you on the next one.